Kitco Mining's special coverage of the Deutsche Goldmesse is brought to you by Victoria Gold.
Silver is revving its engine. This is Paul Harris for Kitco Mining at Deutsche Goldmesse in Frankfurt in Germany. Joining me this afternoon to discuss this is Keith Neumeyer, CEO and President of First Majestic Silver. Keith, welcome to Kitco.
Oh, great seeing you again.
Well, thank you for joining us. Now, silver has been finding it hard to break out above the $24 per ounce mark. Why do you think this is? What has been holding silver back?
Well, you never know exactly the reasons. There is a very large paper market. And unfortunately, it's just a fact of life that miners have to put up with, that, the metals that we produce and sell are mostly driven or predominantly driven by the paper markets. And what's going on in the banking system, what's going on in the COMEX, we have zero control over. And you're right, it is having a challenge at $24 and gold's having a challenge at $2,000. I see just today, as we just checked the quotes just before this interview, that they're both at 24 and gold's at 2,000. So, maybe today will be a breakout day.
Is this going to be the day where they form those bottoms?
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Okay, on the, silver's got that sort of quasi-duality to it. It's got the investment side of it. It's also got the industrial metal side of it. On the industrial metal side of the equation, it's a very positive story for silver. Global mine silver production is due to fall 2% this year to about 820 million ounces, yet demand is forecast to be, 1.4 billion ounces this year. It was 1.2 billion ounces last year. So from that point of view, the market's in a deficit, and yet that doesn't really seem to translate or transfer into the pricing.
And in 2021, same thing. We produced the same amount of ounces, about 830 million ounces in 2021, and we had 1 billion ounces of consumption. That 2021 was the first year that consumption actually broke through 1 billion. Now, last year was, as you just said, this year is 1.2, next year likely 1.4. So these are big numbers. And we've got now two industries, the solar panel industry and the electric car industry, that's consuming 30% of the mine supply of silver.
And let's put that into some kind of context. A big primary silver mine produces 10 million ounces a year, 15 million ounces a year. So that's several silver mines worth of production that's just not there, or deficit.
Yeah, no, you're right. And one mine coming on stream with 10 million ounces of production has zero impact. And there's no big mines out there that are coming into production anyways. I see, of course I watch the industry quite a lot, and I'm seeing production dropping, at all the major silver mining producers. Silver is a tough metal. It's not like gold. Gold almost just falls out of the rock. They throw a little bit of chemicals at it, and to have 90%, 95% recovery in gold is quite common. Yet silver, you got to really work to get those types of recoveries. If you're at 70, 75%, now you're doing pretty good. And most silver mines are, generally speaking, in the 80, 85% range, and that's considered good.
There's a lot of talk in the metal space, in the commodity space, about energy transition metals. A lot of attention goes to nickel, goes to cobalt, goes to lithium, even to copper. But silver is one of those energy transition metals, and it's one that perhaps often gets overlooked because people think they know silver, but it has a lot of energy transition applications. Is this going to be a big driver for silver going forward?
Well, silver is not on the critical metals list, which is quite a surprise. The U.S. came out with a critical metals list a couple of months ago, and it was quite shocking that silver was not on there. There was a number of metals on there that I've never even heard of, surprisingly. So we have been in discussions with the governments of both Canada and the United States in cooperation with the Silver Institute, and our office is driving it. It was actually done from the First Majestic's ESG CSR team that wrote the original letter to the U.S. government, and now is followed up with the Canadian government to get silver put on the strategic metal list. So we expect that in 2025, the new strategic metal list will be published in the United States, and in 2024, we're expecting it will be published for Canada. And it's important to have it there because, these governments really need to understand the importance of silver, because there is a big misunderstanding what silver is. A lot of people look at silver as a poor man's gold. which is completely a nonsensical way to look at it. All these lights, this computer that you're working on, everything that we do as the human race requires silver. And it's not understood. It's, I think, the most misunderstood metal there is on the planet.
And of course, it's a key component of the photovoltaic cells, solar panels. Now, silver producers are price takers, but to get more bang for your buck, First Majestic is building a minting facility in Nevada to produce and sell more silver directly. Tell us what the plan is there.
We've been selling silver direct to our retail customers and a lot of shareholders, quite frankly, since 2008. And then the business has slowly grown over time. And the last couple of years, what we've noticed is the mints have reached their limit. They cannot give us the demand that we're receiving. So we're maxing out. We have customers lining up for our product. If we had more product, we could sell it. And we're confident that we could sell probably 300, 400, 500 times that we're currently selling today. So we said, let's get a mint going. So we looked around and then we bought the equipment. We decided to open up in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a growing community, lots of people available for work, and tax regime's pretty good. International airport for transportation is great. So it just made a lot of sense. And it's easy for us from Vancouver to get there. Our refinery is close by, and silver coming from Mexico is easy to get to as well. So it just made a lot of sense, and it's almost complete. We were hoping to do our first bars in December. We're slightly behind schedule, but I think we'll be doing our first bars in January.
And of course, Las Vegas is the silver state.
It is actually, yes.
And you're selling silver coins and bars here at Deutsche Goldmesse. Are you getting a lot of interest in those?
They're all sold.
They're all sold?
Yeah.
Didn't bring enough inventory? Well, inventory constrained.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
We had to, three of us dragged it over here, through security and, 3 airports to get it over here. So, it's not the easiest stuff to transport around.
Well, that must have been quite something. I got stopped for a little bit of toothpaste in the tube, so carrying a whole bunch of silver. I can imagine the challenges there. Now, let's talk specifically about the First Majestic Silver's performance this year. How's 2023 shaping up?
We started the year off, on a bit of a rough note, quite frankly. We made the difficult decision to shut down Jerritt in the Q1. It was just burning too much cash. In hindsight, when we bought that asset, we probably should have just shut it down right on day one and then rebuilt the whole thing from scratch. There was a lot of legacy issues there, poor contractors, just bad practices, things that we underestimated that we could fix quickly. And we just simply, the entrenchment of the staff and the prior contractors was just too much for us to handle. And it was just too difficult to make an investment and produce at the same time. So we had to stop production. The investment's continuing over the next 2 years, where we'll be making substantial investments in exploration and mill improvement and so on, and redoing the mine plan. There's 3 million ounces of gold there. So there's a lot of gold. That's not the issue. It's just getting it into the mill in an economic way. So we're going to be putting a plan together to accomplish that. And we're hoping to have the operation up and running by 2026. So that's Q1 of 2023. We had some hangover for severances because we had to pay out, we had laid off the entire workforce. So Q2 was affected by high severances. And then in Q3, we again continued with a number of layoffs, again affected by high severances and other issues. And then now in Q4, it looks like that's all behind us now. So we're expecting to end the year off on a pretty positive note. We did have great production. Like Santa Elena had the second best quarter last quarter, and its costs are very good. It's really cash flowing well. San Dimas is doing well as well. So we're back to our roots. We're all Mexico again, where we were before Jerritt Canyon. So it's just a matter of time. Our balance sheet's improving. The company's looking a lot better, and we're looking forward to a very good 2024.
Do you regret buying Jerritt Canyon?
Not really regret, no, because it's a great asset. Our team really likes it. And that mill's got a replacement cost of $350 million. It's the only roaster that's available. There's 3 roasters in the state of Nevada. 2 of them are owned by the majors, Barrick and Newmont, and this one owned by us. And we're getting approached by all kinds of groups looking to how do we get access to this roaster, because it's a very critical piece of equipment. And so, who knows what's going to happen. We're in discussions with a number of different groups. Can't really say much about it, but it is quite a unique operation.
Is there the potential perhaps to restart the roaster independently of the ore body you've got there, or do you really want to do sort of both as part of a coherent development?
Both are possible. We're in discussions with groups that it may make sense to do that, but it's got to work for both companies, and it's got to make money for us as well as obviously the other company supplying the ore to the roaster.
It's interesting your comments about, let's say, some of the work culture aspects that you ran into. Because is it very much that, a different work culture, from what First Majestic does, from what the previous owners did?
I think it's a legacy thing. I don't think it's the Nevada thing, or I think it's just the way the operation was run for 15 years. And it was just run with bad practices and by contractors. Everything was outsourced. They were basically just dropping the ore at the mill. And it was just a crazy situation. And our guys, unfortunately, underestimated the difficulty of changing the culture. We thought we could do it, and we weren't able to. So we're going to start from scratch. We laid all the workers off. And when we restart, we're going to do self-mining. We won't be using contractors. We don't use contractors for mining in Mexico, and we won't be doing that in Nevada either.
When do you think you'll be in a position to announce what your restart plan there will be?
We probably need to get through the entire 2024 because there's still a lot of work that's got to be done.
Is that sort of technical work, or?
Exactly. Yeah, and we need to put dollars and cents to it as well. That mill, it surprised us a little bit because it wasn't winterized. And I'm not sure if you're aware, there was a 140-year weather event that hit northern Nevada this past winter, when it was like minus 35 degrees for 2 weeks and minus 20 degrees for another 4 weeks on top of that. It was just horrendous cold weather, and the mill just froze up. And then that was the last straw that, was in the camel's back, basically. And with that happening, we just had to shut it down. So, but going forward, we're going to have to winterize that mill just in case it happens again.
Now, you mentioned your production is now focused on Mexico once again. The origins of the company, you used to say one country, one medal. How has that evolved? You obviously looked to get into gold and get into the United States with Jerritt Canyon. What's your thinking of how to take First Majestic forward now?
The decision wasn't really to get into gold. We're looked at as a silver company, and I would love our purity to be higher. But I can tell you it's nice to have gold in the portfolio because gold does not fluctuate the way silver fluctuates. Silver can be, $21 one day and $24 the next day. And when you're doing budgeting and you're trying to build a business, it's pretty tough to do. So it's nice to have a substantial amount of revenues, fixed to gold prices. But shareholders want us to be silver, and we intend to do that. And I hope in the next M&A situation that we do is more focused on silver. But it's hard to say. You never know. But
there's some tantalizing targets and possibilities in Mexico. Things that have recently come into production, some big things coming towards production.
We're taking a bit of a backseat approach with Mexico right now, and that's one of the key reasons why we moved into Nevada, because Nevada being a great mining jurisdiction, sure we had a little bit of a challenge and that we didn't expect, but we're not giving up on Nevada. I would suggest that you probably will see further investment in Nevada in the coming years.
In other projects?
Probably, yeah. In the coming years, I would expect. But we're looking elsewhere as well, throughout the United States, throughout Canada, and even in Europe and Australia. So we're turning over every rock. We want to find that other or that next big silver asset.
The last year or two has also seen First Majestic rationalize its portfolio of assets, La Guitarra, for example. Is that process finished, or is there perhaps a little bit more to come, maybe San Martin or Del Toro?
Yeah, we made it very clear that those 4 assets were for sale about 18 months ago. 2 were sold in 2023, La Pria and La Guitarra were sold. And now we have sizable positions of two public companies, two junior public companies that own those two companies. One is called Sierra Madre, and the other one's called Silver Storm. Thanks. I'm being coached on the side here. Silver Storm. So, but
I wish I had a promise.
yeah. But anyways, and San Martin and Del Toro will be sold, we hope, this coming year.
Okay, it's been an interesting year for First Majestic. What's going to come around the corner in 2024?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think we're going to see much higher metal prices. It just feels that way. Gold's now hit 2,000 4 times, and it looks like it wants to get through. I'm optimistic that gold's going to see a new high by the end of the year, and if it does, it's going to drag silver with it, as gold being the granddaddy of precious metals. And if that happens, and we see $26, $27, $28 silver, and $2,100, $2,300 gold, that's big. And I think this whole market will just light up, and the equities will start to do quite well, and that I think will bring more M&A opportunities to the business as well. It'll take management teams off their desks and start doing deals, and I think it'll change. But right now, everyone's kind of in the playing defensive, and that's kind of the mining sector over the last couple of years. And I think that's one of the key reasons why you haven't seen very much activity.
So better days to come next year.
Look, I'm an optimist. I'm a triple-digit silver guy. I'm the first guy that's ever used that terminology. Hopefully, I'm still alive when it happens, but I'm pretty confident it will.
Triple-digit being $100 per ounce.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, Keith, thank you very much for joining us today.
Great, nice seeing you.
And this is Paul Harris for Kitco Mining at the Deutsche Goldmesse in Frankfurt in Germany. And if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe.
Kitco Mining's special coverage of the Deutsche Goldmesse is brought to you by Victoria Gold.